Love, light, and blessings. So welcome to day 8 of 29 days of Melanated Excellence. For those of you that are new to my channel, I am celebrating Black History Month by talking about different aspects of the ATRs, African Traditional Religions, of the perspective of the diaspora. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So today I'm talking about why in some of the ATRs our saints synchronize with the deities. Okay, so we all know, or at least we should know, that any one of the diaspora is a descendant of slavery, whether that's the United States, Europe, or in the Caribbean, wherever they enslaved African ancestors. Okay, and so for them to have the survival of their religious practices, if the country had a predominant Catholic religion, so for instance in Haiti you have loas that are synchronized with saints. In Santeria in Cuba you have saints that were synchronized with the Orisha or the Orishas. Okay, so they were synchronized with these entities, with these deities, okay, in order to keep the traditions going. I don't have a problem with acknowledging that or having that be a practice in my spirituality. So I have a Christian background, a Catholic background. Catholicism for me is not religious. Catholicism for me is a tradition. I do go to mass, but it's more of a tradition or an acknowledgement that my ancestors did these things and that my ancestors synchronized the spirits with the saints, that my ancestors used Catholic prayers in cases of African conjure, African American folk magic, African American hoodoo traditions. In New Orleans, there's an infusion of hoodoo and voodoo elements, right? And they do Christian prayers too, and the Loa was synchronized with saints. In parts of the United States where people were Protestants, you have roots like John the Conqueror roots. So spirits were infused into the roots. Okay, so everybody did what they could. You also had people that worked with the prophets like Moses and used Bible magic, or not really Bible magic, but use Bible phrases and Psalms, not just the Psalms, but other books in the Bible for their spiritual practices. Okay, so this is what we're talking about here. So I don't see it as degrading or bad, because I notice there's a certain trend of putting down these things and saying, see, that's colonization. I don't see it that way. I see it as when I have saints in my altars that I know represents Loa or Orishas, it is the legacy and the inheritance that my specific ancestors left for me. And I like practicing ATRs of the diaspora because most of us are mixed race. Even if we have a large part of African DNA, we have a lot of mixed tribes, right? It's not like you're from only one part of Africa and they have specific Loa or Orishas for that region. We are allowed to mix and match because a lot of us, when it comes to spirits of Nigeria, spirits from the Dahomey and the Congos and all these things, some of us even have native spirits, okay, because of the racial mixing that went on and the infusion of other cultures that went on during this time period. Okay, so I'm going to give 2 examples. And the first example I want to talk about is La Virgen de Regla. Okay, this is La Virgen de Regla. So I asked the spirit for permission if I can show her on camera. So this is La Virgen de Regla. I have other statues to venerate this particular spirit, but she is known as the saint that is synchronized with Yemaya. Okay, she is synchronized with Yemaya. All right, so I'm going to give you an example. So again, she's synchronized with the Orisha Yemaya, okay? Her feast day, because the feast days of the spirits are actually the days of they're synchronized with the feast days of the saints. Okay, so her feast day, La Virgen de Regla, which in Santeria traditions are either celebrated in September 8th or in some houses, September 12th. Okay, so how did this come about? Like, how did the saint come into things? How did Yemaya get infused in that? Again, remember, our ancestors tried to keep the religions alive. So they pretended to pray to their deities, their saints, in order to not be killed or face certain precautions. So they were able to hide their religion and still keep their traditions going with this beautiful infusion that's very unique to the diaspora. Okay, so in 1660, all right, in a sugar plantain known as Guayacamar, okay, it was a very modern, there was a very modest shrine that was dedicated to La Virgen de Regla de San Agustin, okay, and she is an aspect of Mary. It's why I said that Mary is very sacred in my practice. When I talk about Mary, I'm actually talking about the Orishas. That's who I'm talking about. For instance, the Black Madonna represents Exilidanto to me, okay? Or Santa Barbara Africana, okay? Calidad de Cobre is Oshun to me, okay? That's how we do it. Santeria literally is the veneration of saints. That's what that translates to, okay? So she was a very popular saint amongst people that travel, so sailors, and things of that nature. In 1664, a more proper church was made in the site of the original humble shrine that was again in the plantation in 1660. Okay, Cubans, okay, named her the Virgin of Saint Augustine's order, La Virgen de Regla, okay, the Virgin of order. Regla means order, rules, okay. The devotees of her, okay, and they're still devotees to this day of her, okay, are people, okay, that were enslaved. A lot of enslaved ancestors renovated her. They considered her the Black Madonna, okay? She was at some point recognized as the patron saint of the town of Regla of Cuba, okay? But she is actually named after the town of Regla, like I said before, okay? And she made herself known, Yemaya, as the saint to enslaved ancestors. It was said that anyone who touched her imagery would be healed or would not suffer under the oppression of their masters. Okay, so she gave protection to the enslaved ancestors. She healed them, because we have to remember that at that time, a lot of us had no access to doctors, okay? If you did have access to doctors, it was very minimal. There was a lot of misconceptions of things when it came to African people, of our enslaved ancestors at that time period. So, you know, we had to kind of do our own thing. So a lot of people prayed to the Black Madonna, La Virgen de Regla, okay? And this was Oshun, because again, I've talked to you guys that in the Patakis of the Yoruba people, okay, they said that Yemaya left Nigeria and followed her children. Remember, I said sailors asked for her protections. So did our ancestors when they were being brought into the new worlds, okay? The new worlds being America, the new worlds being the Caribbean, various parts of Latin America. Mexicans also have African descendancy as well. There were Black slaves that were brought to Mexico. A lot of people don't talk about that. As a matter of fact, one of Mexico's presidents was actually a man of African descendancy, okay? So there is a respectable amount of Mexicans with African lineage. It's why some people don't even know they have African lineage, because sometimes people were made to feel shame. Racial mixing was something that was encouraged, kind of to wipe away our African essence, okay? So there are people throughout the Afro and Latino community don't even know that some of them have African descendancy and don't understand why the Orishas call to them, or the Loa. Again, these are religions of descendancy, inheritance, and lineage. So she became a protector of the enslaved people, okay? She became a protector of the enslaved people. She was synchronized with Yemaya. Yemaya allowed herself to appear to her children as a Black saint in order to protect them so that they can still honor her in their own right, but again, in a safer way where they won't be killed. Okay, Oshun allowed herself to appear to the three Juanes, okay, as La Virgen de Caridad, another patron saint of Cuba that's very loved by the Afro-Latino population, okay. Yemaya allowed herself, as I said in other videos, to be portrayed as a mestiza. Is why La Virgen de Caridad is actually a lighter skin image than La Virgen de Regla. The ancestors knew what they were doing, okay? Let me tell you about that. Even her symbology, like there's a moon there. Yemaya is synchronized with the moon too, okay? So she is the mother of humanity. You know, her colors are white and blue. Like the ancestors knew exactly what to do, how to hide these practices, how to synchronize the spirits so that they didn't have to give up their religion, okay? And I love that. Another saint that you see in ATRs is San Martin. San Martin is synchronized with Eloah, okay? Depending on what voodoo house you're from, depends on who you're synchronized him with. He represents a baron in my house, okay? He represents a baron, okay? So he's a gede. All right. His feast day is November 3rd. He is the patron of barbers and keepers, the patron of Peru, and a patron of poor people. All right. And he is someone who was a mixed-raced person, a son of a black person. Okay, so a freed black slave. All right. But also the son of a Spanish nobleman. All right. He grew up in poverty. He spent his youth with a barber and a surgeon, and he learned to take of medicine, and he took care of the sick. All right. At age 11, he became a servant in the Dominican Priory, and he was promoted to Alamar. He begged for more than 2,000 a week from the rich to support the sick of Lima. So he advocated for the people of Peru. Again, this proves, right? This is a mixed race black man. There is black ancestry in Peru. Our people were brought to various parts of the world, okay? He cured people, okay? He always advocated for the black population, okay? He fought against the fact that the church did not want to recognize black people, nor let them partake in any of the rituals that they would do in the Catholic Church, all right? They were not allowed to take communion and things of that nature, okay? He also established an orphanage for children in his lifetime and worked with the people of the slums, okay? He also protected stray cats and dogs. That's why you see animals there, okay? And he was a friend of St. John de Macias, all right? So he is thought to have made many cures after he died as well, and also raising the dead, okay? He was the first black saint, okay? He was the first black American saint. He died in 1639, okay? And yeah, so, and he was recognized as a saint in 1962. So guys, listen, we have representation. Synchronizing spirits, whether they have this skin color or if they look European, there's a reason for that. A lot of times they're actually representing the other mestizo women or men, okay? So there is a practice to synchronizing the saints. That is a big part of Santeria. Even though Santeria has a lot of influences of Ifa, Santeria is its own religion because, again, it is very unique to the mixed African people that created the religion. They used the saints in a period where we were not thought of as human. So I still work with this, I still serve the saints in this way. I still understand why that was done. I don't have problems doing voodoo rituals and having saints all over my altars because that's what we do. So, and again, the saints are just a representation because their actual ashe or their actual objects are in nature, okay? Because these are religions of nature, so we believe the spirits are housed in nature. You know, for instance, Oshun, sweet rivers, Yemaya, the oceans. Ogun, you know what I mean, the metals, so on and so forth. Papa Legba, he has dogs that a lot of times if you see dogs and stuff, especially at a crossroads, that usually means Legba's around, okay, or the cane or things like that. So, or the crossroads, or the cemetery, the Gedes, you know what I mean? So there's a reason why these saints are synchronized, or these spirits are synchronized with saints. So I kind of just wanted to share that because I think there's a lot of misconception to that. To me, honoring a Catholic saint has nothing to do with being Catholic or Christian. It has nothing to do with that. It is a recognition that that's what my ancestors had to do. Again, I am Catholic by tradition because I recognize that my ancestors, with no, most of the time, they had no choice in it, were baptized. And that's including my Taino, my African ancestors, okay? They were baptized a lot of times before being sold and things like that. So it's like a respect, understanding that they had no choice but to synchronize our spirits with saints. And so I feel like there's power in that. Okay, there's power in that imagery, there's power in that practice. That's why I personally do it and have no problem with it. Again, Santeria literally is translated to the honoring, the veneration of saints. Santo, Santeria, Santeros, you know, so yeah, so I understand that practice. That I don't, again, have an issue with it. I'm Catholic by tradition, meaning that I do go to mass occasionally, but it's more of a tradition. It's not really religious for me. My religion is voodoo. Okay, my religion is hoodoo. My religion is Santeria. My religion is the ATRs. Okay, what my ancestors left behind for me. They have Christian, Christian correspondences and Christian synchronized into it, but it is not Christianity. Okay, it doesn't mean I don't believe in God or Jesus or whatever, but that's, to me, that's more of a practice or tradition. My religion is the religions, is the ATRs. That is my religion. So I kind of wanted to make that clear there. All right, much love, much light, much blessings. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. And until the next video, bye.